Welcome in everybody to Girl, How'd You Get That Gig? For my co-host Celeste. I'm Amy G. And what do you get when sports and comedy and writing and acting collide? You get our guest. We've been watching her career soar. We're so excited to welcome in stand-up comic, comedy writer, actor. I have to read all this because there's so many things. And Herlights Podcast host, Erin Foley. Hello.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah, I'm 89. I have had 80,000 different careers.
I think that's why we connect with you. From the outside, we don't know you, but I'm like, we'd be friends. We have
we're
8,000
already
jobs too.
friends. It's been 5 minutes. Come on, please.
Oh my gosh. So before we started rolling, I was telling Erin basically like I've kind of been stalking her for a long time. I knew you from your comedy clips on Instagram, and then I saw you launch your now very successful podcast, Herlights, which highlights women in sports. So let's start there because that's kind of how the whole thing came to be. What was the impetus to launching the podcast? Why'd you want to do it?
Well, I'm going to back up for a second and say I don't mind hot blondes stalking me at any point in time. So bring it on.
Bless you. Bless you.
There you go.
There's two of us stalking you.
It's a double stalk.
Yep.
I'll take it.
Double blonde stalk.
When I'm not sweating through perimenopause, I'm looking to get double stalked. So there you go.
Ain't that a bitch? We're in that too, my love. We are in that too.
God, it's fun.
I think it was 4 times last night I woke up in a pool of sweat. So it's very attractive.
Yeah. I'm like, oof, I feel good. I feel sexy.
Yeah.
Just buckets of sweat. Well, we have to I actually started this podcast in 2014 under a different name. It was called Sports Without Balls when that was an appropriate name. Not so much. Didn't hold. So yeah, I've been like it has been like a long time dream of mine to somehow, how do I combine comedy and sports? And back in my 20s when I was living in New York City and doing stand-up, I was constantly pitching shows to Comedy Central when Comedy Central was like huge at the time, and MTV. I would pitch sports shows, the little women's sports I could find. Obviously, there was women playing the whole time, but nobody gave a shit. And no, can I swear? Sorry.
Yes.
And so it was mostly talking about like men's sports, but I would be hosting the show, and I couldn't even get in the door. Like people would be like, "Oh, we love your comedy," but like, yeah, no, like a woman in sport, and you're like, "Oh my God!" I mean. So finally, there was, I was doing a lot of stand up and it was like, the podcast boom. And I was like, I can't imagine creating a podcast and talking about comedy. I'd rather like throw myself off the balcony. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to, let's have a comic on and talk about comedy. I'm like, ugh. And I'm like, well, what do I love more than anything? And it's sports. So I started it literally like in my friend's kitchen in like 2014. And so, and then, sometimes I'd have a co-host, sometimes I wouldn't. And it's just so amazing how this has changed the technology because I had to go, the only time I could record the podcast was between 1 and 2 o'clock on a Monday at the All Things Comedy Studio up in Burbank. And if my guests could do 1 o'clock, or if they were running a little bit late, I'd be like buckets of sweat being like, I remember interviewing Christine Lilly and she was like, I'm having some tech problems. And I was like,
oh gosh, I only have an hour.
I only have now 48 minutes to talk to like one of my favorite players I've so
amazing.
Now it's so, I mean, I guess maybe a silver lining of the pando.
COVID, it's
amazing. Like we can talk to each other. I can, you can just email someone and be like, when are you available? You know what I mean? It's opened up the whole thing. And anyway, I'll wrap this up. But then I guess spring of 2024, I just had left that 90s show writing. So I was like, what do I really want to do? It was like a moment of like, what do I really want to do? And I just missed it. I missed talking about sports, and obviously women's sports was exploding. And I thought, well, I'll just teach myself how to do this all over again. And I'm obsessed.
You know what, though? That's what we love about you because it's so genuine. You are so authentically yourself. And we preach that all the time to the young ones. They're like, how do you get a job in sports? And like, first of all, stop trying to be someone else. Like,
Yeah.
what is it that you're passionate about? And yeah, so you're just such a fun story. All right, I'll stop fangirling. Go Celeste. Go Celeste.
All right,
Like,
you're Amy always gets in there, right? Like she just is so excited all the
I
time.
love
I
it.
love it. I love it. You're quoted as saying you were a crazy athlete as a teen. So of course our viewers want to know, where'd you grow up? What'd you play? And where did your love of sports begin?
Yeah, crazy, like a big sports household.
mm,
Mary and Dick Foley, R.I.P. Dick Foley, they were
mm,
huge sports fans, like in crazy sports fans. And we grew up in New York, and then we moved to Rhode Island. So
oh,
I'm obsessed with Newark and Rhode Island. I always say I shouldn't say this because I want to keep Rhode Island secret. I don't want anybody to move there because I love it so much. But it's just gorgeous. So I just started playing. Oh my God. I had two sisters. Like I'm gay, my twins straight and my older sister's straight. And I was like that tomboy, the
Yeah.
gayest. Before that was acceptable, I guess, before I knew. Someone
Oh.
should have told me. Anyway, I remember getting a softball glove when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I slept with it for like a year and a half until my mom found out. I just played everything, and my parents were so supportive and so encouraging. Like my twins, like a marathon runner, and my older
oh,
sister like
wow.
played tennis, and
Wow.
we always would be doing something. It was basically like this amazing childhood of like, open the door. My mom would be like, "Get out." And then we'd
Go
come
play. Yeah,
home
go
like at
play.
night. It was
Yeah.
Dinner
amazing.
time.
Yeah.
Dinner time. Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we just played everything. And so I think my first love was softball, and
hmm
then softball into, yeah, basketball. I played like soccer into basketball into softball through high school. And then I took 1 year off of softball and played volleyball because it just seemed fun. And then I
My
just would,
girl.
yeah, I just would playing. I mean, I was pretty bad, but I loved it. And then I played college basketball. I played basketball in college, and then I blew out my back playing
hmm
basketball, and then stopped playing sports completely because I couldn't like physically.
hmm
And then joined an improv team, and then my entire life went
So
the
that
other
was
way.
the turning point.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
So we always kind of follow a template a little bit for our podcast and getting to know because our guests, because we feel like the people listening are usually like college age, getting ready to graduate. They really are looking for a path. So we're going to get to all, I just want you to know we're going to get to all your things because you have a lot of things, but I'm going to stay in this area of college right now because as you mentioned, you did play D1 basketball, University of Richmond.
D3
Oh,
Oh.
D3. That's
Dickinson.
okay. For
Yeah,
us, it's
yeah, yeah.
D1. We
I
call it
wish I
D1.
wish it was D1, but it was D3.
Our girl right here is D1, D1 baller.
I played at
Yeah.
LSU. Yeah.
Oh my God, you played
LSU.
at LSU?
Yeah. It
I
was
gotta
She
fun.
do.
practiced with Shaq.
Yeah. He used to come to the gym armory and put his hands up. So you just try to throw it over him as best you could.
We're actually a
Oh
perfect
my
trio
God.
because
Yeah.
This is
Celeste is D1. I played D2 volleyball and you're D3. So we
Yeah.
needed that. That's exactly how this one should work out for sure.
wow. I have like so many questions for you two. So hurry up and get through me so I
Okay.
can
Okay. So
interview you
we're gonna
guys.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
But okay, so you played D3 basketball,
Yeah.
Dickinson. What was that like that I always think collegiate athletes have such a demanding life on top of the academic side of things. So how did you balance that? And then what did you study? And what did you think you wanted to do before you met this improv group?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Which is great too.
I
I
I
think
I
that's
think it's
great.
the best
Yeah.
thing ever. Like my
Yeah.
older sister Tara, I have to thank her, every day for the rest of my life. She's three masters and a doctorate, and she's a professor of literature at Baylor. Okay.
Wow.
Also, she's funny.
Go Tara. Go
But
Tara. Go
Tara like
Tara.
led the charge because my twin
Mm.
and I, we were just like, wow. And Tara was like, okay, go to like just study whatever you want. And
Yeah.
my mom was a teacher. She's like, what? Like everybody was so pro education and which I very much value, but they weren't like I went to school like on a full ride academically. We had $1. The Foley family literally had like $1.50. And we're like, how do we spread this out between 5 people? You
Gonna
know
need
what
to
I
get
mean?
some scholarships,
Yeah.
girl.
So we
Yes.
were all like, okay, this is the only
Yeah.
way we're going to school.
Hmm.
And so I think it was also sort of like a backdoor D3 basketball scholarship, on the side, because you
Yeah.
can't obviously officially give
Right,
give a
right.
person a scholarship. Um, but yeah, Tara, my older sister, was like very much like just do like a liberal arts and just study whatever. And so I studied American studies because I loved it, and I was still literally obsessed to this day. I was in every single department for all 4 years. I was in religion, history,
Yeah.
econ, philosophy. I absolutely loved it. And then my senior paper was on women in sports. It was on like gender roles in sports.
Oh,
So I
cool.
guess I should have probably maybe kept.
The writing was on the wall of where you
Yeah,
should end up for sure at that
yeah.
time. I think, Erin, that's the best advice. I've got one. My son is at UNLV, and he was always very aware. He's an artist, and that's what he wanted to study. But Gracie, who's a senior this year and applying, she's like, Mom, I have to put down what I want to major in. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Like, you'll
Anything. It's going to
anything.
change
Yeah,
17
I know.
times.
And
Yeah.
I love that you're saying that because, when you tell your kid that, they're like, okay, mom.
Tell
But
her to call me.
I
Yeah.
know, when you hear it from other people that it's absolutely okay to not know at that age.
I have
I
no
don't know
idea.
today. I'm 52 years old. I don't
Yeah.
know. I
I've
don't
had
know. Let's try
17
it.
different careers. You know what I
Right?
mean? Like,
Right?
and I
It's
would
great
not
advice.
change my American studies major. And it was critical thinking, and you learned how to write and like, look at American culture. And then what do you do as a comic? You break down you break down culture and you
Yep.
make fun of it.
Make fun of
So
it.
yeah, so it was, um, yeah, it was great. It
It was a
was,
great foundation for you.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
Hmm.
I really had I always say too, like with the performing thing, if I can do it, I'm not throwing myself under the bus, but because it takes a lot of hard work, and perseverance, but I had no background in theater. I had no idea what I was doing. I did
Wow.
not, they were like, when I moved to New York City, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but I just wanted to be with my sisters in New York City. And I was like, I guess I'll just be a teacher. And I'd done some improv in college, and I was like, I'll screw around for a bit and like maybe try to join an improv troupe for like a year and then teach. Like my twin is two masters, and I'm like at the freaking Chuckle Hut. But like so I just, if I could, like, my first audition for an improv troupe, it was headshot and resume. It was my older sister's business resume, and it was my passport photo stapled. I had no idea what a headshot and a resume was.
You're all, this should work.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
I have
here's
a
a picture
picture.
and here's a resume. It's not mine, but like I'll put my name on it. So I'm like, just go for it. Just do whatever it is. Throw yourself
Yeah.
into it and you'll figure it
Mhm.
out.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
And I think, with everybody that's in school right now, they always want to do things perfect, right? Like they want to use AI and get everything right and have everything be perfect. And they're missing the whole point of what you're talking about. Like you have had so many passions that you've pursued between,
Mhm.
the writing and the stand-up comedy and, the fact that you wrote for, a living. I'm just like, holy
I
Toledo,
know.
we
I
have you
know.
on this podcast. And I think when we're talking about all of this, just really, how did you evolve that you had enough, like you said, like you wanted to be with your sisters and all that, but how did you have enough like courage and strength to be like, hey, I can do all these different multiple things and still feel happy and not have to have like that perfection or that specific career?
Well, and like the
Yeah.
fear of paying your bills,
Yeah.
right? I think that's what
Oh yeah,
holds
I still
people
have that.
back.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we do
I
too.
think you have to have like an insane risk tolerance, honestly.
Mm,
I'm not saying it's a great quality, but I think to be in the arts, you have to roll the dice, and you have to. I think a great big bowl of naivete in my 20s really helped. I think
mhm.
having my sisters really helped. I think, I always say Tanqueray also helped sponsor my
So great.
20s. Still love a
Sponsored
gin and tonic.
Yeah.
by Tanqueray.
Yes. Yeah. No way
This
I can
entire
figure out.
decade.
Yes. Trying to figure out if I was gay helped. I mean,
Oh,
it was just
yeah.
like the most fun ever was like New
Mm,
York City in my 20s. And I don't know. I just kept going. It's like hard to explain. I just like you get I just loved laughing. I love being around comics to this day. I loved stand up. It was very much like I could write something that day and figure it out that night. I loved the immediacy of it. Um, got thrown into acting, never wanted to do it, booked a couple things and I was like, I'm done. Like I just don't, I hated it from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, yeah, I think that's what it is. It's like you just keep going. And I'm just always, I think as an athlete too, it's like I'm so competitive. Like I'm
Yeah.
annoyingly competitive. And I was like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to win stand up.
This.
I'm going to figure out how to
Yeah.
do it. And that's how
Mm-hmm.
I just kept trying to, I get bored easily. And I just kept thinking, but I always just kept checking in too of like, am I happy? Am I happy? Is
Mm.
this working for me? Is this working for me? And when stand up stopped working for me, that's when I was like, I'm going to pivot to writing. I'm just going to try. There's nothing, I'm just, so I think it's just, I've always been trying to really check in with myself of like, I don't want to be, just keep going for the sake of going. Like, am
Yeah.
I satisfied? Is this something that's working for me? Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned it because that was where I wanted to go next because I feel like about being an athlete and how that helped you in your other careers. But I feel like it's such an interesting time we're living in as women under our current administration. And comedians are so targeted, with what we saw with Jimmy Kimmel or Stephen Colbert. And yet you're so essential as truth tellers. And, there's so much education coming out of comedy and it lightens the mood a little bit, but it's just constantly resonating with people in this era. So how do you think you handle that? Like you're talking about struggling with finding out if you're gay and being a comedian and being a woman and you're in these areas of life that are all very difficult. And now you're that under the current administration. So where do you place importance on comedy right now? And how do you handle the backlash of maybe not agreeing with a message from our administration or feeling like, this is a time where women might be taking a step back with all that we've evolved with because of what's happening in our country. And yet there's this huge push in sports for us to go forward. But, you know, you go to different states and you're not able to have an abortion now, or it's just all kind of being taken back slowly. So it's a weird question, I guess, but how do you balance following your passions in a time that isn't as friendly for what you do?
Yeah, no, it's a really great question. And I think like right now, all three of us on a podcast talking about this is helping. I think it's visibility. You just like,
Mm-hmm.
since day one, women in comedy have been like, we are like the lowest of low. Like, on a hierarchy of like when you step into a comedy club, like especially when I started out in like late 90s, and believe me, all these women that came before me are like, they're all heroes, like they had it
Mm-hmm.
worse than I did. And
Mm-hmm.
I had it really bad and they had it worse. And then the generation, you know, after me had it better
Mm-hmm.
and now it's
Mm-hmm.
better. But like it's going to be like this till, for the next 500 years. Like it's just our country's baked in misogyny, it's baked in patriarchy, and every time a woman grabs a mic and says her opinion, we win in some way. We inspire some woman to be like, I'm going to actually now grab a mic and talk about something, And
Mm-hmm.
this current administration, and I will use that term loosely,
Right.
go F
I
itself.
know.
You know what I mean? Like I'm sorry, but like
Mm-mm.
we
Don't be
can't be
sorry.
stopped. We can't be stopped. We're not gonna, we're just women find a way. We just find a way, and it's
Do
just
you
one
think that
battle.
you're able to find a way because of your background though with sports? Like or do you feel that being as competitive as you are and having that sports background helps you find a way? I know Celeste and I do.
Yeah.
We reach back to that team bonding, what you needed to do to win, uh, how to deal with people that you don't like, but you got to work with them. I mean, there's so many lessons we learned in playing sports. What do you feel were the lessons you learned?
Yeah, I love I love being on a team. Since day one, I didn't play any individual sports. Like the team concept for me, and I know the stand up is individual, but when you're on a show, you bond so closely with the other stand-ups and really essentially female stand-ups. Like, the people I started out with, Jesse Curson and Rachel Feinstein, and like, these women, Ophira Eisenberg, like they'll be friends forever, like we were in the trenches together. So I think, and then in the writing world, it's even better because there's like 10 of us around the table and it really feels like a team, and you have to listen. You have to listen, you have to get along, you have to say, okay, your strength is this and your strength is this. And when you're creating a writing staff for a show, it's building a team. This person does this person great, that person writes the jokes, this person's great at like character, this, so whatever it is. But and then I think everything for me in my life has started with sports. I mean, now it was sort of just like, I just wish I could play more than I do, but
Totally.
I'm working on that.
Well, I went to pickleball. I mean, I'm telling you,
So fun.
Erin, it's the best. I hung up my soccer shoes, stopped playing volleyball a long time ago. Softball, they were way too drunk and I didn't trust anyone anymore. And, you had to have a female play in the infield. And I'm like, no,
Oh, terrifying. Yep. Nope.
like, nope, don't need to break anything happening here. So, but pickleball, it's kind of my passion now.
I love it.
I'm glad it evolved.
Oh yeah.
I think we need a pickleball like playoff right here.
How fun would that be?
That would be fun.
No, I want her to be my partner.
Oh yeah, either way.
Yeah, let's join a tournament.
I know I introduced my partner to pickleball. She played tennis growing up, and I was like, I played pickleball one or two times with my parents at their senior community in 2016 in Florida.
So great about it. Your folks can play. My dad's 75. He plays with me. Yeah.
My back goes in and out. I have to get better because I was on a rail tear, and then I got a little bit too crazy. But anyway, my partner now, she's so good she can't play with me. Like she's at like a 4 or 5 or something, and I'm like,
I got you. I'll play with
3, 5.
My back hurts when I pick up the pickleball. Like that, I keep telling my friends that I play with them, like, we need to do a reel. We need to do a reel of trying to pick up the pickleball or like trying to get it under the net to the other side and it comes back at you. And I mean, it's a thing.
Yeah. I want to know from your playing days, do you have a routine before you get on the stage or anything like that? Because as athletes, right, we had routines all the time. So did that carry over into your stand-up comedy, or is there anything from sports that you did in the comedy piece?
A lot of stretching. A lot of stretching. Got to stretch out the hamstrings.
So
got to stretch out the hammies before you take the stage.
So true.
Yes. I mean, on show days, I am really anal. Like I have a very by like especially if I'm doing a spot and it's like a 10-15 minute spot, like I can start prepping like an hour or two before or whatever. But if I'm like headlining, oh yeah. No, nobody needs to be around me, quite frankly.
You're like the starting pitcher. Nobody talks to the starting pitcher.
I just have to have I have to work out. I have to meditate. I have to go over everything 790 times. I have a very specific, if I know
approach.
Yeah, because I have to take the stage with full confidence and for me a rundown and what do I want to accomplish. I'm insanely goal oriented, because then if something happens in the crowd, then I'm like, oh sweet, we can talk, or something I know I can veer off script if I have my plan, if I don't, it's not fun.
That is fascinating. We both teach at the collegiate level, and I teach at Sonoma State just up the road, and I teach public speaking. And one of the biggest fears for all of the students, besides just speaking in public because they hate it, is forgetting what they're going to say. And I always think about that with comedians. A couple of things here that are connected to sports, right? Sports, we learn how to fail in sports. We learn what it's like to lose. We learn what it's like to not get a reaction from someone. How do you handle a crowd that's not giving you what you need? And what is your key to remembering your set? besides reps, right? Oh, I'm sure,
Yeah, it's really reps.
but
Yeah.
your probably topics change as time goes on.
Yeah, I think in the smaller shows around LA or when I was in New York, I think it's totally fine to like bring a set list up or have something in your back pocket or whatever. I didn't normally do that because I such an over preparer that I I if I have I basically took a break from stand up to do a lot of that TV writing. So I was off stage for probably like, maybe on and off stage, but mostly off stage for a better part of 5 years. So when I came back, um, it was like almost like starting over. So I gave myself a break by saying I can have a set list on a stool.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I just needed to get back into like the flow of it all. But honestly, I just go over it in my head and over it in my head and over it in my head. And then, it's like a muscle. It's like, I'm sure when you're teaching or whatever, you're like, okay, I got this. Like
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
these 4 points. And but if it's not working, I mean, I'm a professional now, so I can pivot,
You
but
can
when
adjust.
you're
Yeah.
here, yeah, that's man, that is brutal. Yeah, you just have to, you have to have your what they call like save lines. You have to have save lines of just like, well, I crushed in my living room, or like, well, that one's on me, or like, you guys actually blow. That's a very well crafted joke. You know what I mean? Like you have to have
Yeah.
those things that you go to and you just learn it and
Yeah.
then just get a thicker skin as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Let's talk about your podcast now. We're so excited about it because, obviously we love highlighting women in sports. You love highlighting women in sports. What have been some of your best, like, topics that you've discussed or guests you've had on? Like, share and dish with us.
Yeah, it's like we're all saying, and I feel like we all have like very similar lives of just like you try stuff out. Okay, is this working? Is this not working? And so it's already just evolved a lot in the last like year and a half. And sometimes I have to, I had to take I'm working on this big soccer podcast project, so I had to take a
Mm-hmm.
break and then jump back in and then I'm like, okay, well now what do I want to do? And I'm like, well now I want to do like, for me this big gap in women's sports is the daily coverage piece, outside of Sarah
Yes.
Spain, who
Sarah. Yeah, I was just gonna
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
um, you
She
know,
came on our podcast.
Yeah, she was
oh,
on.
it's amazing. She's a dream. She's an
Yeah.
absolute dreamboat.
Yeah.
And like there needs to be, like we go on ESPN, we need to see two women talking about women's sports for like 5 hours, on and have 8 of those shows. And I think we'll eventually get there. It might be a different network, but whatever. Um,
Probably be one that we create
yeah, I was gonna say like
as
it's all
well.
DIY. It's
Yeah,
all
it is so
DIY,
Yeah.
which is
DIY.
frustrating, but also really empowering, because you're
Yeah.
like,
Blank
again,
slate.
Yeah.
I had to teach myself how to, we all did. How do you run a podcast? How do you edit? How do you get a microphone? You know what I mean? So I think it's like also like, people coming out of college, 20s, whatever it is, it's like, again, they're also so tech savvy and already like ahead of, you know what I mean? Just do it. Like just get a
Mm-hmm.
mic if you want to be in the women's sports world and just start talking. Go to social
Mm-hmm.
media. Just just
Mm-hmm.
just generate it. So yeah, the new kind of format is Mondays. I just kind of do recap of the weekend and some things to look forward to. And then Thursdays I'll sit down with a guest. So I'm trying to like get that cooking. But I think overall there's some, I grew up like an insane UConn fan and a Liberty fan. And when I interviewed Rebecca Lobo, I lost my
Oh,
mind.
I bet. I bet.
She's so funny. She's got like the best personality. I felt like I
So
had
cool.
known her.
Yeah.
Another lesson is just like I'm constantly like, oh, they're not gonna want to talk to me. Oh God, like
That's
I
how
just
we
like
feel.
I just
Yeah.
went on Instagram because she like liked a couple of my posts and I was like, hey, I'm just gonna
Would
shoot my
you
shot.
talk to me?
And she's like, yeah. And I was like, really? So yeah, But yeah, I think yeah, like some of the some of the guests have just like you're sitting like Shay Ralph, the coach of Vanderbilt. I grew up watching
So
her at
cool.
UConn. She's so delightful, and I'm doing this 85ers soccer project, which will air in December. That's a whole nother team of people, but I'm sitting across from Abby Wambach and Michelle Akers, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like who
How
am
am I
I? This is
here?
amazing,
Hmm.
yeah. So I
Hmm.
don't know, like another thing too is like it's not I think the women that I've met now I just feel like is this growing awesome community. And when I attend games and I have the like, lucky fortune of meeting Sarah Spain, like everyone's so nice and they're like they're always grabbing and pulling people up,
Hmm.
and we do that a lot in the comedy world with women too, you know what I mean? We're just like, hey, how can I help? How can I help? And I
Hmm.
don't know, there's just this seems like this like really great camaraderie
Hmm.
between women. And I think I don't know, I guess you could say I've had to, just entertainment and sports, but it's such a fun world to be in. We're like you just like you two meeting you two. It's like we're just geeking out about like sports and women.
Yeah.
It's like the
Yeah.
best thing ever. It's so like so feel good. So yeah, I think I always leave any podcast I do. When I'm interviewing these, powerhouses,
Hmm.
um, I just leave so happy. Like, like the
That's,
recording is ending. I'm like, oh my God.
I could
Like,
talk to you forever.
yeah, it's just like this
Hmm.
crazy preparation, and I get in my head and I get nervous. And I just met this awesome Paralympian, Emma Sheik, who she
So
has like
cool.
2 gold medals and just won the World Cup. And she's just like so freaking inspiring and so
Yep.
fun and great. And then I don't know, like every time I stop recording, I just like, God, I'm so lucky. This is
I
so
love what I
awesome.
do.
Yeah.
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 I think that this generation, I think we're probably all close to the same age. I'm sure I'm older than everyone. I know I'm older than Celeste. Pretty sure I'm older than you, but we've experienced a lot of similar things. And I think what I see different now at this age and having the experience under our belts is that realization that there actually is room for everyone. And in my reporting career, it was not like that. It was very cutthroat. You are always watching your back. And I've told this story before. I remember, say I covered the Giants for 13 years on the broadcast, and this gal came out from Atlanta and she was new as their in-game reporter. And she came to Oracle Park in a sundress. And I was like, you're actually going to freeze. And a lot of times the in-game reporters from other teams didn't talk to each other, and I was never like that. I was like, do you need anyone? Do you need to talk to any of the Giants? Like I'm happy to introduce you. And when I went to the visiting clubhouse and I asked him for jackets because I knew she was staying in the city. And I go, can you give me a jacket for this gal for tonight? There's no way she's going to make it. And then it was a 3-game series. So then I brought her some jackets from my house for the next 2 games. And she just was like, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe. And I was like, but like, why wouldn't I do that? Like, again, there's room for all of us. And like, why I wouldn't want you to suffer. And I'm not worried. I was never worried that somebody was going to take my job. And maybe that was dumb because eventually somebody did. But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like at this
Yeah.
point, at this level, we're kind of like, screw it. Like, if this is what you want to do, we're going to help you get there. And like you saying yes to coming on to ours. And I feel like you realize that when Rebecca Lobo said yes to you, like you're going to pay that forward and say yes to us. And like, it's a great place to be.
Yeah, it is. It's like that's such an awesome story. There is also just like basic humanity, for
Yeah.
God's
Yeah.
sake,
Yeah. Like
especially
I
in this
just was so
time.
worried
Yeah.
about her.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
no, somebody's got to step in here. And of course, none of the guys thought they were just happy
They're
she
all
was in a
wild pigs.
sundress.
They're
But
wild pigs
yeah.
running around thinking about themselves.
So what do you think, Erin, hosting this podcast, Herlights, and talking sports, which you're so passionate about, has given you that your other areas in your career in comedy and in writing didn't give you?
Um, I think it's like filled this like deep hole in me when I stopped playing, I
Hmm.
lost sports and I've been trying to get it back for so long. And then you just like, I lived in like major cities and just it was all about comedy and writing and go 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 and I just lost that part of myself, and then hopefully, like I work out and stuff, but it's just not the
Not the
same.
same.
It's
Yeah.
like, someone cue up Glory Days, but I just miss it. And so I think I don't know, just
Yeah.
just doing this podcast brings me back, a little bit closer, brings me closer to that world that I absolutely loved.
Hmm.
And everybody that knows me, like I go to like, I'll go see you know, a badminton tournament in like
Totally.
Mumbai. I nothing pleases me more than discovering new sports,
Oh,
going.
so fun.
I will take a plane to like I will see literally anything. And but I have a
Great.
rule. If I go with you, there's no talking. There's
Could you please
absolutely
talk to my mother
no
who
talking.
sits next to me for my daughter's volleyball games? I
No,
love you, Mom. I love you so much. She asks so many
no,
questions.
no,
I had
nope.
to tell my mom, and she can confirm this, to sit on my right side so that I wasn't turning back away from the game to answer her multiple questions in 10 seconds. Aim. What did he call? What is that call?
Nope. Nope.
Aim. I don't think that's right. Amy, you should say something, Amy, and I'm like, okay, well, at least do it over here so I can keep watching while you're asking all the questions and I don't have to make eye contact with you. She knows this. She has so many questions. So
Yeah.
I get it.
Questions before or after the game. If I am like
Take notes.
season tickets to like Sparks and ACFC and if I'm sitting next to someone and it's like 10 minutes into the game and someone goes, "So how you doing?" I'm furious.
No,
Absolutely
not.
furious.
Oh, you would really struggle with my
We have
family.
halftime, we have pregame. I'll hang out. I'll meet you at the ballpark 4 hours before and we can talk about the game,
We'll
the
talk all you
players, your
want.
life. Like, please.
My aunt is in, I'm leaving from here. My aunt is in town to have dinner tonight, my dad's sister, and she's notorious for ruining a viewing moment. And like one of my favorite memories is she called the house. She was in Sacramento. She called the house during the Super Bowl. Like
Oh,
she
dear
called to talk.
God.
She didn't even know it was on. And and then she would come to games, to Giants games where I'm bopping around and stuff. And here's the field. Here's my aunt. So, Amy, tell me everything. And I'm like, I need to you're not going to watch the game at all, are
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I come from a family of that. So I'm very, very aware. I won't talk to you. I promise.
I'll
You're
go to
good.
like 7 games a day. I just need to,
That
you
sounds
know,
good. You wouldn't have to talk to anyone.
I
That
just
sounds
need
real
to
good.
I need to focus because if I'm not focused, then my team's gonna lose. I need to
Yeah,
channel
they need
plus
you.
plus I don't know, do you two watch games where like I'm analyzing the game and the player the whole time. You know what I mean? I'm breaking, especially basketball. Like I'm like, okay, well, then back on defense, and then you've got to like I'm running plays. I'm like, like it's I can't handle
Yeah.
talking.
But does
Yeah.
it happen at home too, or just when you
Oh
go to
yeah,
a game? Yeah,
Oh,
because
go to the
with
park. Yeah.
yeah, we can't invite people over when my husband watches the Raiders games. Like it's
oh, well.
seriously, it's a thing. He's like, don't invite people over. I'm like, okay,
It's
no
that
problem.
way for UNLV for us. And my husband went to UNLV. So
Running Rebels.
yes, and during their heyday of basketball. So he's a Tark guy and but he covers the Raiders now. He works for the Raiders. But I think Paul can talk during this game because that's
Yeah.
so
Does he
bad.
have a
I'm so
towel? Does he
sorry.
bite like a
He
towel around the
should,
house?
but he probably thinks it would be unprofessional at the Raiders game. Either that's where I would be biting the towel. UNLV football's been pretty good, but I get it. Like there's certain teams that you
Yeah.
don't interrupt. You don't say anything.
If there's
Yeah.
if there's like a sporting event where I don't I don't have like I don't really like, it'll just be like a fun game and I'm trying to like really think of something that I would take like less seriously. I guess if
Curling.
I
Would you talk during curling in the Winter Olympics?
absolutely no, absolutely not. But like
No.
if it was
Okay.
like a
I would.
Wow.
I
Rams
probably would.
like a Rams game, like I don't care. Like I don't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like if someone's like, "Hey, I've got a free ticket," and it's like Rams Eagles, and I go, "Okay, that's fine." You know what I mean? Like that, So, but primarily like women's sports too. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Does your partner abide by your game viewing rules?
I am like that ridiculous. I mean, truly, apologize a lot because when the game is on, like that old stereotype, it's like the game's on and my husband won't. He doesn't even know I'm in the room. I am the husband.
You're
I
that.
I literally I don't mean to. It's the only thing in my life where if the game is on, um, I can truly like block. It's like when I meditate, which is like I've been doing this for a while, so it's still a struggle, but it really helps my brain. And then when I watch like a women's sports, I can block out the entire world. And it's
World.
so peaceful to me if I'm not screaming, um, that everything really just fades away and I'm in
You're
such a happy place.
you're
And
like
for,
Kevin Costner clearing the mechanism for the perfect game.
yeah,
Clear the
with no
mechanism,
stakes.
right? With
Yeah,
nothing to lose. Yeah, I know.
nothing,
Oh.
nothing to
I
lose.
have this is the last thing, and then I'll let Celeste ask the question. We have three more questions for you, by the way, because I want to make sure that we get you out on time. But I do have a friend whose husband is like diehard for the college that he went to, and I won't say who it is because they would know. But I think they were in a championship football game, and she like walked into the living room and asked him a couple questions, and then they lost, and he still blames her to this day for talking. Like she asked it, like, what do you want for dinner or something? I mean, I'm not getting it correct, but there's still animosity that she came in and messed with the juju and talked. And so I was
It's
like,
amazing. I,
well,
I can
you
so
would get along
relate.
with him really well.
Yeah, I really like, no, my partner, she really likes I've got her like into the WNBA, but she loves tennis. And so
Oh,
we
it's
go
such a
like
good game.
hardcore tennis, which is super fun. But yeah, I think what it is, it's like I can bring her to games because she's really not even remotely interested. And she's an
Isn't that
introvert, so
funny?
really there's no talking. And she doesn't really care to know what I really actually want to talk about. If I'm just like, okay, well, that player, and she's just
Yeah.
like, I don't.
Yeah. Analyzing the game.
So I'm
Yeah.
like,
She's
I'll
like,
take that over a chatty Cathy.
Nice.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Okay. Where are we?
Who
We
knows?
Yeah. All right. So if somebody was watching right now and let's say they're funny, they're a good writer, they're a good actor, actress, and you had advice for them, where would you tell them to start in their career right now?
I guess it really depends, like honestly, what they want to do, but and where they live and stuff. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
think there's like a lot of different factors like that. Although I would say for stand up, I mean, there's, obviously major cities are advantageous, but also, even smaller ones like, Atlanta and Chicago, there's scenes everywhere,
mm-hmm.
honestly. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not like if you want to be stand up, you're like, I have to move to New York or LA. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying uh, those are probably the stand up
Helpful.
meccas. I would say New York and specifically is a stand up mecca because you can
Mm-hmm.
just do so many more shows and you don't have to be driving around and stuff. But I think whatever discipline it is, it's sort of like you just have to be like, obviously, you just have to learn. You have to be like super curious, and want to learn. Like no one taught me how to write scripts. I
Mm-hmm.
read 8,000 scripts. I punched up my friends' scripts for free. I joined
Mm-hmm.
3 friends' writers groups. I was intimidated every single time. These were writers that had been just writing, and here I am in the stand up that I'm trying to write. So you have to be willing to fail. You have to be super curious. You have to be, but I think because there's so many scripts out there's so many Netflix specials out there, you know what I mean? Like you can really DIY so much stuff before you hit the ground. Um, even for screenwriting, TV writing, there's contests. There's if you look
Mm-hmm.
up and say like, where can I submit like cold scripts? Just to even get started. People have like had no jobs. They submit a script and they win the screenplay prize and they're off and running.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think there's so much like courses. I mean, there's so much to do online now that can get you going. Do not use ChatGPT. Come up
Mm-hmm.
with your own ideas. Look within. You've got your single story is your story is just your story. Like use your story.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I would just say, and then just keep going. I mean, I waited tables forever. It's not like my success is like overnight here at all. So yeah, you just got to do what you got to do and just don't stop. I just didn't stop, really.
I think that DIY aspect too is something new that this generation can really lean into. We didn't have it. We didn't have it. And this is a perfect example. Like we had to be at the location to be doing something. Yeah. Two more for you. What is next for you and how can people come see you?
That is a really good question. I'm trying to honestly figure that out in real time. I think I'm obviously the Herlights Monday and Thursday. I will be doing some stand-up shows. I'm taking a break from the road. I just kind of finished a tour and I'm done. And I am so knee deep in so many women's sports projects right now that I don't want to be back on the road for a while. So I'll probably just do like a lot of LA, just like local shows. And that's all on erinkfoley.com. So I'll post shows, there and just, follow on social. But so right now it's just trying to figure out the women's sports path and then sprinkling in the stand-up and we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
All right. And last question for you. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever gotten through all of your gigs that you've done,
many careers,
yes, that you want to pass on to others?
I mean, I think we started out with it and it's like full circle. It's just like authenticity. Honestly, it's like, you look at and you're like, how can I, write a TV show that hasn't been done? How can I do stand up? There's only one of you, and I think that's it. It's just like, you have to be brave and courageous and all that stuff, but like you just have to tap into you. You have to be 100% authentic, and then you have a shot. You have like a real shot, because if you're trying to, write a script because your agent's like, what's hot right now, and we get this all the time, family dramas, and you're like, okay, I'll do a family drama, and you have no interest in a family drama. Do not write a family drama. Like stand up, but what's travel jokes. What? No, you know what I mean? Just write and perform, or women's sports. What are you like the most passionate about? Curling? Go all in on curling. Go crazy.
I'm not going to do that one, but
so just
I feel like
I've never been to a curling match, but I totally.
I mean, now I really
want to. They are interesting.
I do find it. I know Celeste has been to several Olympics, but I think it's fascinating. Yes, Celeste is producer extraordinaire. Okay, so you can find her on Instagram at Erin K. Foley. Make sure that you follow her. I was always told as a sports reporter, Erin, do not meet your heroes. And that's not a true statement. So
God, I'm gonna cry.
Well, no, don't cry because we don't want to do that. But seriously, like it's so refreshing to meet somebody that you think you're going to like and you like them even more than you thought you would. And you just, we leave this podcast as well, just as you said, every time we talk to someone, we're like, I think we just made a new best friend. Like, you're amazing. Thank you for not just what you do in highlighting women in sports, but highlighting to follow what you're passionate about. I think that's the key to life. It's hard to stick with it. Again, we have to pay the bills, but man, you are doing what we tell people to do. And that's the best thing possible. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. And I can't wait to turn the tables and get to know you guys better. It's always wildly uncomfortable when I'm talking about myself for too long. And I'm like,
I know it's weird. I like
San Francisco Giants. Like I have 8,000 questions for both of you. So we have to figure out how to do this.
We have 8,000 answers.
I turn the tables and then you guys give me answers.
We can do that. We can do that. It would be our pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You've been listening to Girl, How'd You Get That Gig with hosts Amy G and Celeste Gehring. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and follow us on Instagram. The handle is @GirlGigPodcast. Followers and subscribers are automatically entered to win our giveaway prizes, announced every other Wednesday on our Instagram page. Until our next episode, go get that gig.